Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. This evening, my guest will be Mr. Edwin Peacock III. He's the at-large City Council member. How you doing there, Mr. Peacock?
I'm doing great, Paul.
Great. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, I was elected to Charlotte City Council in 2007, and I'm seeking my third term in office.
Oh, okay.
I am a native of Charlotte. I grew up here, went to CMS schools, graduated from Charlotte Country Day, went to the University of Georgia in Athens, and I met this really attractive girlfriend who later became my wife. I chased her to her hometown, Washington, D.C. I lived there for almost 12 years, and then we had our first child, and Charlotte all of a sudden became a great place to raise a family. And so we moved back, came here back in 2003 professionally. I'm with Northwestern Mutual. I'm a financial advisor and help clients and individuals with insurance and investment decisions. And so in 2007 had the opportunity to run and was very blessed and very lucky to win and to serve, and I'm seeking my third term. So
you're doing an outstanding job, sir. What would you consider to be the most exciting thing that you like as far as being on the council?
I think the most exciting thing is to be a part of policy decisions that are going to have an impact that I know down the road are going to be noticeable, whether it be an infrastructure decision, things that we do at the airport, decisions that we make with our police force. Because I grew up in Charlotte, I come from a family of public service. My father was in office from 1975 to 1983. I just grew up understanding some of the context and the importance of giving back to the community, and then I've also gotten a chance to see the history of some of the decisions that were made in the 70s when I was growing up, and how much it's made Charlotte who we are today.
As a current City Council member, do you consider your job as being completed, or you see more to come for Edwin Peacock?
I see more to come because you're not really done. You're just getting started when you start to really peel away the onion of what there is to do in Charlotte, and there's an enormous amount to do. This is a city, since my birth, I think has been focused on one direction, which is going up. We are obsessed, I think, as a city, of getting a little bit better each year, and even amidst the recession, you're starting to see some of the real true colors of who Charlotte is, which I think we're a city with staying power, and we've got real prominence, especially in cities in the southeast, and I think we're getting noticed for that. In particular, this next year we'll be noticed by the DNC convention.
Correct. What do you consider, what would be your views on public safety?
My views on public safety is it's our first job, is to protect and to serve. And protection is the primary role and function of government. It's where 85% of our tax dollars go, and that's something that we on council and the mayor take very seriously.
Okay, what is about Charlotte that you love the most? I mean, because you do a lot for the community.
Yeah, I think what I love the most about Charlotte is its people, the genuine nature of how sincerely warm and friendly people are in this community, and I think it really speaks to what I call the attraction power of Charlotte, North Carolina. I think when people move here from all around the country, and especially when I moved back in '03 from D.C., and I met so many people that weren't from Charlotte, I learned I was very much in the minority. I kept asking people, well, what is it about Charlotte, and why are you staying here when you moved here from Connecticut or New York or New Jersey? And I think I think a great setting, I think the weather, I think the ability to be able to be with your family without too long of a commute. These are the things that a mid-sized city really can boast of, but we're growing and we're suffering with growing pains like all the great big cities are. But I think we've maintained who we are and our identity as Charlotte, and I hope that never changes.
As a member of City Council, and I know you said you haven't been there for a long period of time, what have you learned most from some of the experienced council members?
I think the thing that you learn the most is that week to week, I think to have a long-term vision, you have to be willing to work with others. And I think one of the other lessons that I've learned is a lesson that was passed down to me by many different people. I don't even know where I first heard it, but politics makes strange bedfellows, meaning that if you're not willing to work with someone of the opposite party, it's going to be real difficult. You got to learn to cooperate and work with others, and I think that's something that we've lost in a lot of the public discourse these days, is people being able to work with other individuals regardless of what their party or their position or the color of their skin. You've got to be working towards a solution because the public expects that.
What if you were one of the city council, other city council members, what would they say about yourself?
I hope they'd say that I'm somebody that cares, that listens, somebody that really sincerely wants to try to solve the problem, and someone that's also not seeking one particular political perspective or another. It's very hard to remove the politics in some situations,
Correct.
but I just hope that's not how I'm remembered.
I know you do a lot of things as far as, just like you said, your position on the city council and all.
Mm-hmm.
How do you spend quality time with your family?
Well, through youth sports, my son plays Little League baseball, my daughter plays soccer. I'm an assistant coach on the baseball side.
Okay.
I don't have that much time to dedicate to being a head coach, but I did coach before I had children. Baseball was my sport and my love growing up. When I was here in Charlotte, I played baseball through high school, and I was an American Legion player for Pineville Post 337. So I have a real love of the game of baseball and want to give back. And so that's right now currently what my wife and I are doing, is chasing 2 kids around ball fields, and that keeps us pretty busy.
I know being in the city of Charlotte, I know we're doing a lot of changes. What would you consider to be some of the positive changes that you see?
Well, I think one of the positive changes is just right outside the studio. We're here on the corridor of West Moorhead and Freedom.
Correct.
The West End corridor is perhaps one of the bigger success stories since I left Charlotte and since I've returned to Charlotte, starting with the Charlotte School of Law, the Wilkinson Boulevard corridor.
Correct.
And this corner here at Freedom Drive celebrates a piece of public art known as Pinky's, and there's the
Volkswagen.
The Volkswagen, the Volkswagen that's sitting on top of the building. The City Council a few years ago changed a piece of our ordinances to allow that to be described as public art, which I think is unique public art. But more importantly, this corner here is largely what the City of Charlotte does, which is put together good infrastructure projects. We have public art outside here, expanded sidewalks, good street lighting. We create the environment that allows the businesses to come down here. And so you've got these great restaurants that have started to form around here. Of course, we've got Panther Stadium.
Correct.
And perhaps maybe someday we'll have uptown baseball here in this ward. But again, if you were to reverse back 20 years ago, many people would say that you could have never turned this place around. And that's just not been the case up the Freedom Road corridor and up Wilkinson. It's really turned out to be a great asset, primarily because it's so close to uptown Charlotte. So that to me is a good example of this city moving forward and working together.
What are some of the current issues that you're facing on the council?
I think the current issue is, of course, the economy. How will our budget hold up amidst a declining sales revenue scenario? Your previous guest, Ms. Flowers, is an important part of what we do as far as transportation is concerned. Her revenue stream, in order to fund light rail and to expand the bus system and to take the commuter line up the north, that's all contingent upon this half-cent sales tax. So if we are entering into a second recession, the way that sales tax is going to affect the way that we can go to the markets to be able to build these projects, and that is going to be tricky in this time right now. So I'm bullish on Charlotte, but we cannot be oblivious to the fact that the reality is that this could be a recession that could last a few more years.
What do we need to do as citizens of Charlotte to assist in making it, more possible, more positive thing?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is to stay engaged in the local elements that they can control, their neighborhoods. Get involved in knowing about what is going on in your own neighborhood. Who are those leaders that are involved? Who are those block captains involved that are tied to your neighborhood that have a connection with Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department? Who are those individuals? And I just encourage my friends and my peers just to get actively engaged in the future of Charlotte. And I think that's one of the things that public service has taught me, is that you will get back what you put in. And there's a lot of citizens out there who are griping. Well, you have to first go out and vote, and then secondly, you have to get involved and be a part of the solution, not be a part of the problem.
How vital is it for the community members to go out and vote?
It is the single most important element. We're looking at, and again, as I said earlier, my third term, or hopefully going to be my third term, but it's predicted to be a low turnout race because there's not any congressional races, and it's just simply the mayor and the city council and the school board members. And so again, just struggling to get people to come out is something that always surprises me, particularly considered how much we impact people individually here in Charlotte.
I know your father, you stated he ran for office, and what have you learned from him in his achievements?
I think how you conduct yourself, I think how you treat your fellow colleagues on City Council are going to be the things that you're remembered by. No one remembers particular votes 25 years ago when my father was on City Council or County Commission. They do remember certain ways in which other individuals treated one another, and I think it goes to some things that are pretty biblically based about treating others like you would like to be treated, listening first, trying to seek first to understand rather than to be understood, and just be respectful to other people. I think that's the habits that I think that are not coming forward, and a lot of times in some of the other public bodies, just all around the country, and we need to see more of that. That's one of the lessons I've learned from my dad.
I know you had a lot of people that you've been involved with, but then who would you say made your most impact into where you're at right now?
I'd say a couple of individuals and a couple of experiences that I've had. First would be my father as it relates to public service and business. He's my friend and my mentor and the person that I turn to almost every single day, so he's just been an incredible force in my life. And then I would say in the case I mentioned earlier, sports were a big impact on me as far as how to handle adversity, on moving forward during tough times. That's a lot about what athletics is about. It's not so much about success, it is about failure and how you handle it. And so that's helped me to persevere through those times. And I think some people in my life as far as spiritual leaders, my ministers, my former Sunday school teacher was former Mayor Richard Vinroot, who's been a big mentor over the years, and there's just many examples like that of leaders who've been in my life that have really had an impact.
What do you see as far as some of the things that you would like to improve in the city of Charlotte?
Well, the first area that I'd like to improve would just be one region. It's one that was really a prominent part of my childhood, and it's just simply gone astray from the standpoint of the way it was when I was growing up, and that's East Charlotte. The Independence Corridor and the decisions that NCDOT made with that region and to make that into a transit corridor that's mainly got cars that are going 60 miles an hour just really changed the dynamics of real estate in that part of Charlotte. And it's a wonderful, culturally diverse area that's very close to Uptown. Eastland Mall was a big part of many people's childhood here. In fact, if you were to ask me would I want to go to South Park or Eastland in 1980, I'd say never want to go to South Park. And so you see how things have radically changed just from that aspect. So I think East Charlotte is due more attention. I think it's got the most opportunity for really growth, and I'd like to see that area of Charlotte turn around. It's not going to happen overnight because it took a while for us to get to where we are now, and it's unfortunate, but we've got to help that part of Charlotte turn itself around.
Bringing in some of these businesses that's in our, that want to come to Charlotte, how do we go about, getting them here?
Two things. Infrastructure is the primary driver to bringing corporations here, and one of the best examples of infrastructure or an infrastructure unit would be our airport. If you look at the single reasons that large companies will move to Charlotte and some of the companies that our chamber has been soliciting, an enormous amount of it has to do with our ability to get passengers in and out in a low-cost structure in a quick environment to move in and out, and that's something that Jerry Orr, our airport director, has been doing now almost 38 years. He's done a phenomenal job, and so he allows us to get to the door as far as a company considering us. I think once people come to Charlotte and they meet the warm and genuinely friendly city who we are, they see how we're a business-first type city, they see how collaborative that we are. I think as a business community, as far as its interaction also with its local governments, the school board, the county commission, the city council. These are things that just don't happen in every city. You generally will see acrimony, you will see certain groups that don't talk to each other. Charlotte is fairly fluid as it relates to that. So we've got to continue to support infrastructure like airports. I think the other thing that we need to do is obviously be mindful of having a very cost-efficient place to do business, which is clearly has largely to do with the tax structure. And so when you see the tax structure change on the state level and you see the local taxes and where we set our tax rates are at, those are very important. The other thing, and this is one of my lessons from learning in Washington, D.C., is that we're a very strong competitor with South Carolina. And we've got we've got to be mindful that we could have a slow leak going on where people are just creeping over into South Carolina. It's happening now, and it could continue to happen more. But Charlotte always needs to be mindful that we've got a competitor to our south. So.
Okay. As far as South Carolina and North Carolina, I know that we're close to, but how come? I mean, what are some of the biggest things that we have being so close to South Carolina?
I think the biggest thing we have is the airport. That's our strength. I think that's actually why many businesses are lining up right up to the edge of South Carolina, is they're able to use our airport. That is the hub. We pull people from Greensboro all the way down to Greenville, South Carolina on a regular basis. So it's a big part of our success as a regional airport. You may not know this, but we're the fastest growing airports in the world.
Oh, okay.
We got ranked in 2010 by the International Transport Airline Association, I believe is what it's called, as the #1 airport in the world. And Jerry Orr was recognized for that, not because we have all the fanciest bells and whistles, but what they looked at was, if we lost our major carrier, U.S. Air, how would the airport hold up? How could we hold up as far as a debt structure is concerned? How could our operations continue to work? And that's really where we really shined. We have a lot of positive things going on at the airport, but to have a low debt structure, to have a very what I call high value, low cost proposition out there, keeps us in the ball game when it comes to really competing for jobs around the region. Our competitors, north and south, will offer more.
Correct.
They will give away more, but I think what we have is starting to catch on here.
I know the council has meetings
Mm-hmm.
every week. How do y'all? I mean, when individuals coming in, describe some of the meetings that you have going on to
Sure.
the viewing audience.
Sure. Most of the viewing audience that watches Channel 16 just sees us when the cameras turn on, which is usually at 6:30 or 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Council frequently starts on those days. Typically, sometimes as early as 3:30, sometimes 4 o'clock. Council members have committee meetings. And in our structure, what happens is each council member, via the mayor, is appointed to certain committees. And we have 5 committees: Housing and Neighborhood Development, Economic Development, the Environment, Public Safety, and Transportation. And each one of those have council members who are the chair of it, and then the committee members are fellow council members. And that's really where the work of City Council gets done. We have meetings that are open to the public always, and this is where we make policy decisions and open discussions with one another, and the committee will make a vote. That's the first thing that most don't know about what we do.
Correct.
The second part is, before every time we go to the 6:30 or 7 o'clock meeting, we have a dinner meeting. And the dinner meeting is filled with lots of PowerPoints and lots of information and many presentations, either from outside entities or staff wanting to inform us even more about either an upcoming vote or about subjects that they plan on bringing to us at the future. Mm-hmm. So there's a pipeline of information that's coming through to City Council members on all 5 of those subjects. And while someone may tune in for one particular issue or may focus on myself or another council member for one vote or the other, what they forget is that there is this pipeline of issues that a council member or any elected official has to deal with, and that's what the actual charter and mandate is of what we do. So there's a lot that goes on before and after.
Correct.
And the part that you don't know is that many of your council members, we do our best to get together in off hours if we can at all, but there's just so little time after you spend almost a really good dedicated amount of time on this. Mm-hmm. It's hard to really kind of get together, and I think that's one of the unfortunate things, because many of us have jobs or we're working other places. So it is a true servant leader type role, because it's not our full-time job.
How are you able to balance it? You know, council member,
Yeah.
your job, employment,
Yeah.
the family. How do you balance that?
The short answer is absolutely try to do my best and ask for a lot of forgiveness from my wife. She's incredibly supportive of what I'm doing, and that is absolutely a critical, essential ingredient in order to take on this type of obligation. I think when I got into it, I didn't realize how much stuff I could actually get done given the hours that you and I both wake up.
Correct.
But somehow you adjust and you get used to it, and you're able to make do with the heavy amount of reading material, and you just squeeze in every ounce of time that you can. I will tell you the one part that's really hard to balance, and this is one thing that other people that are out there thinking about public office don't know, is that it's hard to sometimes to turn off thinking about it.
Okay.
thinking about these massive problems of transit and public safety and economic development and something that you should have said or didn't say in a previous meeting, it can wake you up. And I think every public servant goes through that. It's just not easy to make some of these decisions. You're in the chair and you've got to make a decision. So,
how do you separate from being on the council and your family?
I think the best way you separate it is to really try to turn it off when you walk in the door, and that's really difficult when you have a cell phone these days.
Oh, okay.
That's probably my wife's pet peeve for me right now is my BlackBerry, and it's constantly ringing or buzzing or paging me or
Correct.
keeping me connected. And I think that's a really hard part. It's very different than when my father was serving. They didn't have things televised at the time, and things were done, of course, via U.S. mail. That was it. And he got a package dropped off at his door as well, too, like we do. But you don't have somebody emailing you 24/7 and lots of things coming at you. So it's hard. Wouldn't be truthful if I didn't tell you that.
Right. I know I saw some footage of your family, and you were teaching your children as far as the cleanliness, as far as the community and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was real awesome.
Yeah.
Where did you learn as far as the commitment?
I would point to probably both my grandfathers. They said, in the beginning you make your habits, in the end your habits make you. And that was a video really about just the habits in our household about recycling, which
Correct.
is something that citizens of Charlotte have the chance to participate in every other week by rolling out their big green bin. And we just have tried to teach our children that the habits of conservation and preservation of the natural resources of water and air and the trees just simply don't come without someone taking a conscious role in it. And so we've just been we try to be good stewards with them and be good leaders in that respect. So, yeah.
And you're spending time with your kids. What do you like most about that?
The most I love about it is watching them grow intellectually and also watch them grow emotionally. It's amazing how in just 4 years, I'm thinking of when they started walking and really interacting with their mom and dad, just how much we're seeing. I think my wife and I see of ourselves in our children.
Correct.
And their personalities come through, and they're starting to form opinions, and they make comments about what Daddy looked like on TV on Monday night and where have you been, and they just ask a lot of questions now. So I know they're picking up a lot more than I thought they were picking up, and that's always makes me feel good.
Where does Mr. Edwin Peacock see himself at 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I may be in public service if the public continues to allow me to do that. My wife allows me to continue to do it. Want to continue to build my practice, want to continue to have a strong relationship with God and have a really strong connection with my community in multiple different directions. So more of the same currently right now, and just want to continue to serve and do what's right by the community.
I hear a lot of passion for this community of Charlotte coming from yourself. Where's that passion coming from?
I think it just comes from a very sincere love of Charlotte. I think when you grow up here and then you go away, like I did for 12 years, I never really thought, Paul, I was going to move back to Charlotte. I left Charlotte saying it's small, it just doesn't offer enough to me. It just seemed like when I would walk in uptown Charlotte, it was sleepy and the place closed up at 5 o'clock and it was all bankers at the time. I just didn't think Charlotte really offered that much, or culturally for that matter. So when you move back in 2003 and you see this new South City that's budding leaps and bounds because of some decisions that leaders before me, like Mayor Belk, Mayor Harris, these are people that put infrastructure decisions like the airport, as I've mentioned several times, they really put it at the forefront to say if we want to be a city that's really going to be able to attract people from all around the region, if we really want to have a story to sell the city of New York and Boston on, to bring their bankers down to Charlotte and do business here, we got to have a great airport. So you get a chance to see that those decisions now have led to us having this amazing cultural campus in South Charlotte, the home of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. We've got the Charlotte Bobcats. We've got the Carolina Panthers. We've got a city that has largely been going this direction.
Correct.
And we've been on a good streak, and we need to continue to do that. That doesn't happen without very intentional thinking, and I think that's what is so different about Charlotte, I think, than the other communities that I've lived in. again, living in Washington, that's the capital of the world,
Yes,
but
sir.
it's the merger of Maryland, the District of Columbia, and Virginia, and they're three distinctly different cultures and environments politically, and as you know, Washington is known for gridlock, and once you're there, you really see it. So,
True.
yeah.
Well, running short on time, what would you consider to be, as far as being in the city council, such a great, being that council? I mean, y'all do an outstanding job.
Yeah.
What do you see from that?
Well, what I see from that is I see an extension of simply who the public wants to represent them. We have 7 council members that come from our 7 districts. We have 4 that represent all of us at large. We all serve the citizens of Charlotte, but some are from the district, and myself and 3 others are on the at-large seats. And I think our council reflects our community. We have a great council in the sense that we have multiple members that are under the age of 45. Most cities can't boast of having young leadership involved. With a mayor that's just turned 40, myself at 41, several other council members are in their 40s. It's great to be serving with contemporaries that are looking forward towards Charlotte's future, and I think that's really unique. And we also, again, we just have a very balanced council from that standpoint. We've got perspectives of Charlotte natives to people that have moved here. It's just a fantastic council to serve on.
Mr. Peacock, I'd like to say thank you for coming on the show, because I'm saying you do a great job for the citizens, community, and being a member of the city council.
Yes.
I have to applaud you, because I know it's very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, and y'all do it so professionally, and and you're making Charlotte one of the best cities to live in.
Absolutely.
If you had one thing to say to the viewing audience, what would you say?
I would say that myself and this city, this is a city that cares a lot. It cares a lot about the people that come here and want to make this the place that they want to raise their family, do business, and really just grow. And I think that's really what we're known for, and I'd want us to be known for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have our city council at large, Mr. Edwin Peacock. You're going to see a lot of him. Keep your eyes open on Mr. Peacock, because I see a lot going on for him in the future. He's doing an outstanding job. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the show, and you be encouraged.